Okay, this is kind of a reply to Anekantavad, but I think it could equally apply to any number of people who are interested in this kind of philosophy stuff. But first, I mean, yes, thank you for clarifying clarifying your position in the comments of your last video. That was helpful. There was a kind of a veiled accusation, I suppose, that, or at least you were perhaps exploring the possibility that I was accusing you of being a solipsist? You know, this idea that we can only be really sure about what's about what's going on in our heads, or at least there's something going on somewhere. You know, that even our heads could be. You know, that's just another part of the model that's been created in our head and all that sort of stuff. Now, I wasn't actually. That wasn't really what. That isn't the model I had in my mind at all, really. But it's interesting that you perhaps would resent that if somebody were to accuse you of that, because presumably, I don't know, from what you've said, that would be just another valid way of looking at things, and it's perhaps you don't need to go that far back on this retracing of our perception of this thing that we might call reality, yeah, so anyway, I thought that was possibly revealing. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, I don't know. I mean, I've said previously that I am ignorant of philosophy. I suppose I think it's always a good idea to, if you don't understand something, to not only admit that to yourself, but to make that clear to the people you're talking to. And I don't know, I've found through experience that it's much, you know, for your own understanding in the long run, it's a good idea to get over this idea of this fear of being thought of as stupid, of being wrong, of being ignorant. But I suppose to clarify, or perhaps to use some kind of metaphor to help anyone who's interested to understand my position. I mean, I think the vast majority of people are not ignorant of philosophy, but and I'm not completely ignorant of it. But it's that we lack the grammar. We lack the labels that the philosophy types use to converse with each other. But rather like the scientific method, everybody uses the scientific method in their everyday lives, even if they don't realize it. But if there's something wrong with your car, then you eliminate all the obvious problems first before you start taking the engine apart, and so in the same way, it's, I suspect I have to because I am ignorant of philosophy, I have to be careful in what I say, but my impression is that the kinds of things that you people who are interested in philosophy are talking about, using the jargon that you do, is perfectly understandable to ordinary thick people like myself, and it maybe that's no one's fault or anything. One has to one has to do a lot of work in many areas that people have explored to understand what's been found out and to understand what needs to be done. But it seems a shame to me that that a subject like philosophy has been kind of effectively robbed or removed from ordinary people, and because of this barrier that arguably shouldn't really exist, and that people forget that the average person is more than capable of dealing with these concepts if spoken in plain language, and if there's enough respect for the language, and there's enough respect for the fact that there are going to be misunderstandings, and we need to be upfront about when there is misunderstanding, and the extent of our own ignorance, and not to project ignorance on other people, because they don't understand what a particular word means or whatever. And I don't know, from what I can gather, a lot of these words are very, very vaguely defined anyway, and it's quite clear to me that a lot of people who are obviously into philosophy are just talking past each other left, right and centre, because their idea of what epistemology is or ontology is very different from what the other person's concept of what those things are, and that they haven't taken sufficient care to establish what those words mean to the other person. So me trying to pin you down on what you mean by why isn't it wrong to say that 2 plus 2 equals 5, or that a can of coconuts is not coconut milk is not a can of chickpeas, is kind of my way of trying to establish where you're coming from, and I think that it will be kind of pointless to... Oh, red kite. No, I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. It's a bird that was almost extinct in this country until a few years ago. But there's millions of them now. Well, if I can believe my model of the world. Oh, there it is again. What was I saying? Yes, unless so yeah, I probably came over to you as being very irritating and on the thick side, and I am on the thick side. I don't think there's anything especially yeah, definitely don't think I'm anything special. But yeah, I think through experience I found that if you're the chap sticking your hand up when no one else is, and because you genuinely don't understand, that you invariably find out that all the other kids in the class weren't really understanding what was going on either. So they might be laughing at you for being the thickie, but they're secretly quite happy that somebody else put themselves in that position, and I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy to be that div. So yeah, so don't expect a response. So don't go to the trouble. I saw the Norwegian chap's bid. rather enjoyed that, and I'm sure you're going to be busy with that, so I will leave you to it for the moment.